Good morning. So we've arrived in Tokyo last night after like a really long journey from Melbourne, Australia, and so now we are in Asakusa and it's our first full day in Japan. We have a bit of a slower itinerary today, so we're just going to be exploring the neighborhood. Upon arriving last night, I realized I had forgotten to pack my pajamas, so I think this is an opportunity to go shopping, you guys. But first we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to go see Sensoji Temple and the surrounding streets, and yeah, I guess I will take you along with me. One of the things I learned whilst I was in Japan is that there are two main religions, of that being Shinto and Buddhism. Temples are Buddhist, while shrines are Shinto. People come from all over the world to visit these shrines to pray to Kami, the Shinto gods. Upon our travels, we were told that mainly people come to these shrines to pray for good fortune in this life, and they visit temples to pray for enlightenment in our next lives. Good fortune! One of my favourite things about Japan is that there is so much respect and care in everything that they do. You start to notice the meticulous care in their cars, homes, shops and streets. There's just so much culture built into this country that you could literally feel their ancestor spirits from thousands of years ago in the buildings, the food, the people. Japan is literally the epitome of if he wanted to, he would. Tonkatsu Juroku is a meal that lives in my head rent-free. Located in a suburban street in Asakusa, this is where I had my first proper sit-down meal, and boy was I taken on a ride. I have never had such a succulent prawn in my entire life, and I would do anything to have this meal again.
Yeah, it's so crunchy.
After spending the afternoon exploring the famous Kappabashi Street, we had some spare time, so we decided to hit up Akihabara. My partner wanted to try McDonald's in Japan, so I came along for the ride. And mostly the menu was disappointing, but I must say this tea was delicious. Why don't we have tea in Australia? I would totally get behind this. Ghost. After very many attempts of trying to get this Miffy ghost, which I am obsessed with, we made our way to a dog cafe, which we saw randomly on the street, and by chance we managed to see one of my favorite potential dogs that we might get in the future, which is a Whippet. So this experience was quite lovely, but if I was to do it again, I would probably not spend half an hour there, maybe at most 10 minutes, because they are very overstimulated and yeah, you probably won't get much out of it. Oh my goodness, you're so cute! When arriving in Japan, we hadn't expected the weather to still be so hot and humid in mid-October. Unfortunately for us, on this particular day, we didn't bring umbrellas with us and had to wait in line outside of Team Labs getting drenched, which made the experience a little mediocre. The museum itself is definitely interactive, but I think I had high expectations going in after seeing it in other people's travel vlogs. That immersive experience was fun for about 2 minutes in every exhibition room, and then you kind of get over it. Although I must say, getting drenched and then going through a series of these rooms felt like I'd woken up from a coma and being transitioned into my new life in a cyberpunk world or some sort of other dimension. It was really, really strange. Overall, the experience was mediocre. I think if you have children, this might be a little bit more family friendly, more fun for the kids. But as a grown adult, I had expected a little bit more out of this experience. Maybe I wasn't in the right mindset for the day, so that's probably why my rating of this experience is a little bit on the lower end of the scale. And no Japan trip is complete without trying Ichiran ramen. I won't lie to you, this was the second time we had this in Japan. The first time I didn't film because we didn't get a seating at the booths. Honestly, this experience is an introvert's dream, minus the lines that are involved just to get a seat. The next day we took a train out to Saitama to go to the famous Book Off Bazaar and spent some time exploring the neighbourhood. I didn't really film much that morning because anyone who knows me knows that I don't do well in hot weather. But later that evening we had time, so I decided to drag my partner out to Shinjuku. Another thing I love about Japan is that there are no two corners that look alike. Every suburb or city feels and looks different from the next. And Shinjuku was the second moment we were both hit in the face with absolute awe. As an introvert who hates crowds and people, I have no idea why Japan feels like home to me. In Australia, you can walk the streets and just browse the windows, and you know what you're in for if you walk into that building. Navigating shops you want to go to is relatively easy, but in Japan, as space is limited, they stack retail stores in all the floors, so in order to really window shop, you're constantly looking up in the sky. As a tourist, you're already overwhelmed by the culture shock, and then you add this on and you're in for an overstimulation treat. After strolling through Shinjuku and getting lost, we made our way to the very famous Shin Udon.
We're so close, but this guy can't help but get another drink.
This was a recommendation that came from our cousins. As my partner and I aren't food motivated on this trip, we didn't know that you had to go to the shop and get a reservation. Then you come back at your specified time to line up. We would have arrived a lot earlier if this was the case. Don't make this mistake if you're wanting to go here yourself. We decided to head off and see if we could find somewhere to get a massage and rest our feet. Unfortunately, like many things in Japan at the moment, you need a reservation in advance. On a side note, if you want to try the Hojicha latte from Starbucks, it is really good. Probably one of my favorite drinks in Japan. Fast forward 1.5 hours of waiting, we were finally placed to line up at Shin Udon. In hindsight, I really should have ordered the carbonara udon to try. My hangry partner had holiday goggles on and wanted to try everything, so we ordered way too much for comfort, but I must say this yuzu cold noodle was really, really delicious. The next day we boarded the Shinkansen to Osaka. Getting tickets for the Shinkansen was easy, but when you have a limit of 10 minutes to find the platform at Tokyo Station, that was a whole other ballgame. Here's a tip for those travelling to Japan for the first time. Allow yourself at least 30 minutes to find food and locate the platform. It's a 3-hour journey, so you want to make sure you're fed and entertained. met up with some friends in Osaka and spent a couple of days exploring together. Umeda Sky Building is an exquisite building for those who are into architecture and engineering. It is just amazing to see how this place was built. Going to Osaka is not complete without visiting Dotonbori. It is a lively strip of businesses with lots of tourists that come to life at night. I have heard many things about strawberries in Japan, and we came across this soft serve store and I decided I needed to have this in my body right now. The soft serve was great, but I was disappointed by the strawberries on my trip in Japan. I gather it might have not been the right season for them.
Looks crazy.
The next day we made our way out to a suburb outside of central Osaka to go visit the Cup Noodle Museum. The entrance fee to this museum is completely free and I wanted to experience making the cup noodles myself. I thought that this would be such a cute momentum to take home with us, but also very healing to the inner child. The DIY cups are about 500 yen each, and you decorate the outside. You then take the cup to the counter and you assist the ladies with putting the noodles inside the cup. You then get to pick your toppings and flavor soup.
Tamago, the corn, the chicken.
It then goes through a process of sealing up, and at the very end you get a little carry bag to go with it. They gave us these little carry bags, and honestly Japan is so innovative. Who would have thought that you could pump up these little carry bags and they look like little balloons with your little cup noodles in it? It's such a cute way to present your little cup. I was struggling a little bit trying to get this in the right position in the bag, but we got there in the end. So cute. Very happy with my final product. By this time we hadn't had breakfast yet, so we were getting quite hungry. I saw that there was an ippudo right down the road, so I made my partner come and try it. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I genuinely prefer the ramen noodles here over Ichiban. I think the flavours just have more depth here, but it's a shame that the Australian locations just don't taste the same. And now for the moment we have all been waiting for. Universal Studios has been something on my bucket list for this trip for a really long time. For 3 months I was constantly checking the websites to make sure I was getting us the right tickets and passes because I've been waiting to experience Halloween in Japan. And honestly, the express passes were so worth it. We got on most of our rides in the express lane after waiting at most 15 to 20 minutes, which gave us a lot of time to explore the park itself. After now having been to Universal Studios, I genuinely think that having the Halloween Horror Nights experience definitely takes it to a whole other level. If you are lucky enough to visit USJ, definitely make a point to go during this season. I highly recommend it. After wrapping up in Osaka, we headed to Kyoto. Kyoto was Japan's capital from the year 794 to 1868. It is considered the spiritual home of the Japanese people. Kyoto is known for its refined arts, including the tea ceremony, flower arranging, and geisha schooling. It is dotted with over 2,000 shrines and temples, which contain about 20% of Japan's national treasures. One of my favourite parts about this trip in Kyoto was mainly trying this Wagyu beef restaurant, the character shops in Arashiyama, mainly Miffy, and getting to try on the kimono even though it was like 1,000 degrees. One of the things I would recommend to anyone visiting Kyoto is definitely trying the rickshaw tours. Whilst it is a little costly, I was able to learn about the history of the city while sightseeing areas that were not touristy. We were able to hear it from a local and see the true beauty of this country from their eyes. The shrine. Just got back from shopping and we picked up some donuts from this donut place. I forgot the name of it. But I can't remember what flavors I got. But it looks really, really good. The store was just really amazing. So a taste test. I think this one is the Kyoto Matcha donut. So it's basically just a donut with matcha glaze. I don't know if you can tell, but it's quite spongy. Like, look at the bounce. There's this one here. I think it's salted caramel or some sort of caramel flavor. I don't know if you can see. I can't remember what this is. I think it's just a donut, a glazed donut, but it's a little bit different. If you're in Kyoto, stop by, have a look at it, maybe enjoy your donut in the store because they've got drinks and it's like a whole cafe. It's really nice. But when we went to past the donut store, I wanted to try it, but I just wasn't hungry at the time, so I thought I'd take it back to the hotel. So yeah, anyways, I will catch you later. Okay, bye. By now you're probably wondering, Mary, when are we going to see Mount Fuji? Well, my friend, my partner is a big car enthusiast, and being the efficient person that I am, I thought that we could hit two birds with one stone. So we booked ourselves a car and made a road trip from Tokyo to Hakone for 2 days. My partner was able to experience a drive of his dreams, the Initial D mountain run, which we couldn't get footage of, and I was there just for the ride, literally. Okay, we're about to drive. Are you excited?
Extremely excited.
So what are we driving today?
Z. Have a look.
This is the inside of the car. So we're in the second group, which is why they've got the wait sign there. We ready?
Ready.
Excited?
Very. Cruise control.
I get it. Why would you hire a sports car just to drive around Hakone? Guys, this is a completely different experience. It's like a tour around Hakone, driving these sports cars, and one of the things that you get to do is actually drive on the Fuji Motor Speedway, which is what we're doing here, at incredibly high speeds. And I don't know, for a guy, that is probably something that they're looking forward to the entire trip, so let the man have it.
I think this is a straight hill.
Yeah.
See if we can keep up with the GR.
After a much needed slower paced rest in one of Hakone's onsen hotels, we headed back to Tokyo for the last leg of our trip. We explored other neighborhoods such as Ginza, Harajuku, and Shibuya, and to be honest with you, by the last 3 to 4 days I was knackered and not really in the mood to vlog. I had planned for this leg of the trip to purely just be about loading up my suitcases with souvenirs, beauty products, and snacks to take home. Japan is a buzzing country with so much to consume. From the neon lights of Tokyo to the tranquility of Kyoto's temples and even the stunning natural landscapes, Japan is just wow. It's a country that mixes the old with the new in such a beautiful way. The culture, the food, the people, everything here feels so alive, yet peaceful at the same time. But here's the thing, Japan has a strange way of making you feel both full and empty at the same time. It's like there's so much to take in, so much beauty and excitement that you can't help but feel completely full of experiences, culture and inspiration. And yet it's also humbling, almost overwhelming because there's just so much to explore, more to learn, more to see. It's like every corner of this country just holds something new, something I've never seen. I've had some unforgettable moments like exploring the bustling streets of Shibuya, getting lost in the alleys of Osaka and seeing Mount Fuji on a crystal clear day. But even as I check off my bucket list, it is like the more I experience, the more I realize how much more there is to discover. It's both humbling and exhilarating at the same time. I think that's why Japan feels so special to me. It's like this perfect balance of excitement and serenity and fullness and emptiness. It's a country that gives you so much but also leaves you craving more.
I've only just begun to uncover its many layers, and honestly, I can't wait to see what else is waiting for me. So if you're thinking of visiting Japan, or if you've already been, I'm sure you can relate to this feeling that I have. It's one of those places that stays with you for a long time after you leave. I'm honestly already planning my next adventure here, so I can't wait to share it with you all. I'll see you next time.